Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and I'm going to tell you about why keto is the best diet for a bodybuilder on a cut. So, in the past, in the golden age of bodybuilding, a lot of the diets looked similar, but there were lots of different variations. But one of the things that was most similar is that most of these bodybuilders would cut out their carbs or drop the carb intake, right? Now, of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you should do, but I think there's a method to the madness, right? So, when it comes to lowering your carb intake, right, there's a couple inherent benefits, right? A lot more stable blood sugar, a lot more stable insulin responses, and of course, now we know the conduciveness for ketogenic metabolism. So when you lower your carb intake. Now, obviously, I preach that doing a carb-based diet and having low carbs is not a good approach. But oftentimes when you see people on YouTube doing a carb-based diet or a macro-based diet, what you'll notice is towards the end of their cuts, they're always dropping their carbs to levels like 100 grams a day. Very low carbs. And it's very depletion, they feel like shit narrative that you're dropped when you watch those videos. And in the golden age, these bodybuilders would use lower carb approaches, and I believe it is the best way to do a bodybuilding cut. My main arguments here are because of the fat-soluble vitamins and their availability, which is a lot higher in a keto diet. We have the strength benefits for those who are fat-adapted, right? Not for newbies who are just hopping into keto. And we have the well-being and lifestyle and cognitive benefits and energy benefits. And I'm going to throw in a fourth one, okay? It's the speed of fat loss. So those four reasons are why keto is the best diet for a bodybuilder, and I'll explain those points and expand on them. So right away, the availability of fat-soluble vitamins, right? When you're eating higher saturated fat, higher foods that are higher in fat from healthy sources, right? So example, your eggs, some avocados, and not having shitty sources of fat like peanut butter, whatever, you're going to be getting a lot more fat-soluble vitamins, especially if you're eating good fish, wild salmon, whatever. Or wild salmon's not the biggest one. But anyways, even like cod liver, whatever types of fat-soluble sources of nutrients, even just by having more fat, is more likely that you'll be consuming those foods. Additionally, of the benefit on your performance that you'll get from consuming fat-soluble vitamins, they need fat in order to be absorbed. That is why they are called fat-soluble vitamins. So those, again, are D, A, E, and K, right? And when you're eating a lot of common sources of fat, like eggs, for example, you're getting larger sources that you can get from food of even D3 and vitamin K2. And basically, those are already very beneficial for performance and very hard to get from other foods. So example, compare that to the typical bodybuilder chicken breast and rice and oatmeal diet. You're not getting any of those nutrients, and your actual levels of satiety and your levels of performance are more likely to experience a drop because of the lack of those nutrients. Additionally, they'll make you healthier in other ways, in general, by having larger amounts of those fat-soluble vitamins. I have a video on that as well, actually, on why keto doesn't make you feel like shit. You can watch that one, and that'll expand more on the fat-soluble vitamins. Now, for the strength benefits, those are predominantly from fat-adapted keto. You're not going to experience any strength increases before you are fat-adapted. That's just a fact, and I'm acknowledging that because I try to be an unbiased source when it comes to knowledge on keto and bodybuilding. So if you're not fat-adapted, so if you've only been doing keto for a couple weeks, you are not going to experience strength increases. Okay, that's just the nature of things. That's the nature of keto. And the reason why keto will increase your strength is because ketones, when your body is able to pull at them from a fat-adapted metabolism, basically means that your body has an endless supply of energy, which, even though fat is a slower burning source, it can be used for any variety of aerobic activity. So that's activity where you're breathing. So a lot of weightlifting can be done in such a way. Obviously, activities like sprinting aren't going to be conducive for ketones, however, because it's an anaerobic activity. However, basically all aerobic activities are conducive to ketones, and the higher your amount of ketones is going to be beneficial there. So increasing your fat content in that area of a keto diet will be beneficial to you, and you can experience strength increases even if you are in a calorie deficit because of the availability of energy in your body. Unlike where on the typical bodybuilder chicken, rice, and oatmeal diet, where basically if you didn't have a meal where you have glycogen in your body, you're basically not going to perform, and you probably won't feel good either, which draws me into the third one, which is well-being and how you feel, lifestyle. So the actual lifestyle of being ketogenic, anyone who's done it will tell you they can tell when they're in ketosis, right? There are some people, if you're at the point where you want to measure your ketones when you've been doing keto for 2 weeks, you don't know what keto feels like. You need to know what keto feels like, because you're always going to be able to tell when you're in it. And when you are in it, when you're at the most peak stage of fat adaptation, right? So not in the beginning phase, not when you're still depriving your body and your body's adjusting to using ketones. When you are fat adapted, even if you're on low calories, your body is A, going to be able to pull from fats, which gives you more energy. But B, that ability to pull from fats throughout the entire day, even if you've barely ate, is basically going to allow your body to have a lot more function in the brain, in the body, when you're even in a caloric deficit. So you don't necessarily need a certain amount of calories in order to feel good. Of course, eating food is always going to make you feel good, and having higher daily intakes of calories closer to your maintenance is going to be better for your body on a fat loss diet. But how it actually, the actual ratio of results to not feeling like shit is going to be a lot better, because your body is able to take not only that fat. Normally when you increase one fat loss, you're going to be decreasing the well-being meter, right? And when your fat loss is at the all-time peak, at the most you're pushing to the brim, typically the effect on your body is that you're suffering the toll of this guy being too high. However, when you have a fat-adapted ketogenic metabolism, even if your calories are really low, because calories are the primary driver of fat loss, from what we know, even when your calories are really low and you're pushing to the brim at this calorie component, your body's energy that it's able to supply the body is basically saying, okay, we have a shitload of fat there's fat all over here we can pull from all day long. Consistent energy, right? Your energy is never going to be peaking and dropping. It's always going to be stable, whether or not you're eating food. It's basically allowing your body to be in a state where it's using its supply of energy, so fat, and basically still having all the energy it needs to support the functions in the body. So obviously I'm not preaching for you to go 200 calories a day, right? But what I'm saying is, even when you're depleted in terms of calories, you're not going to be experiencing the reciprocal energy and lifestyle drop, at least not as much, because your body is always able to pull. It always has energy on hand, right? Think of it that way. Think of it like I always say, an electric car and a gas-powered car. The carb metabolism is like a gas-powered car, and when there's no gas, you're not going to be performing, right? But a keto diet is much more like an electric car. So even if you have, a very low amount of energy in your battery, right? Guess what? You have battery all around your body. This fat is energy. That's the whole point. So even when you're pushing those calories, you still have battery stored on your body. Always battery that can pull from and create energy for, and be used in the body. So the last one I'm going to say is perhaps the most impactful for when you're choosing what kind of diet you want to do for fat loss. However, I wholeheartedly believe that keto is the most effective source of, method of dieting for fat loss, because obviously, I've tried my hand at other diets, but as far as being fat adapted on keto, the actual speed that you're using fat is going to be amplified than just doing regular keto for 3-4 weeks before getting into that phase. At that point, before fat adaptation, your primary driver of fat loss is going to be calories, right? However, when you get to fat adapted stage of keto, it almost feels like you have two drivers of fat loss. You have basically your calorie intake, but also because your body is in a keto metabolism and it's all fat adapted metabolism. Basically, like I said, even if your calories are really low and you're pushing that diet meter to the fullest, basically the speed that your body is going to be able to produce fat or produce energy out of fat is higher than a carb-based metabolism, because typically with a carb-based metabolism, you eat food, insulin spikes, then you're down, and then you drop a little bit in the insulin, so your body wants more food, so you eat more food, and you have a couple meals throughout the day. It's very rare to have a 1 meal a day carb-based metabolism due to the effects on your blood sugar and insulin responses. So of course, as a result of the insulin responses and blood sugar being a lot more stable, it allows you to eat less food. So it's basically, you are able to hit lower calories easier. And of course, like we said, you still want to be hitting those, you're already hitting those low calories because that's what you're committing to for your calorie goals. However, your body is always using fat for energy for the most part. There's a little small amount that goes to carbohydrates for your muscles and brain, but at least 75% of your body's needs are going to be from fatty acids and ketones. So basically, you have an extra element of fat loss to it when you are fat adapted. So as far as it comes, and additionally you have the trickle-down effects of how it affects your blood sugar, how it affects your cravings and your satiety. So as far as why keto is the best diet for a bodybuilder, you have those 4 benefits. You're getting more fat-soluble vitamins, which are going to make you feel better, perform better, and be healthier. You have strength benefits because when you're fat adapted, your body is able to use ketones more effectively for strength. And in the gym, you're going to keep more strength as a result of being able to push more, handle more volume. And additionally, your body, when you're fat adapted, is going to be better at using carbs, right? So your body's going to, a side effect of being fat adapted is your body is going to store more carbohydrates in the muscles for areas that it needs them. So you're going to get the best of both worlds as a result of being fat adapted on your strength, because you have the fat, which you're able to pull from for any anaerobic movement. And also you have a small amount of carbs that are stored in your muscles all the time, because it creates that through gluconeogenesis. So the amino acids in your body are going to be turned into energy for your muscles and perhaps your brain a little bit. Then you also have your well-being, how you're going to feel, even when you're in a deficit, even when you've had a hard workout in the day and it's like midnight and you've been working all day and you want to go home and start shooting some videos about keto dieting. So well-being, you're going to feel better, you're going to have more energy in the day, a little bit more stable energy throughout the day, right? But you're able to perform longer, and it's night and day difference. And fat loss, you're getting an extra element of your body always being able to pull fat. Your hunger and satiety levels are going to be more stable because you've decided to go keto and you're fat adapted. And that's basically all 4 right there. So if you were struggling to choose what kind of diet you want to do for your bodybuilding cut, my opinion is always going to be in the keto diet. And I've experimented with other diets, of course, as well. But keto diet for the past almost 7 years now has been phenomenal for me, and I've gotten better at doing it every single year. So if you'd like to learn more about keto and bodybuilding, follow my page. I'm going to keep making videos on those things, and that's basically it. So my name is Anthony Romano. Thank you for watching this video. Peace.